Hello everybody, this is Peter Tusik from Humanware coming at you with another snapshot tutorial on all of these new features released in this rebuilt version of Key Files. And today we're going to be looking at zipping files. So we did have a video on unzipping. This one is going to be on zipping or compressing files. And what we're going to do is zip a couple of files, and then we're going to look at how we share those files via Keymail, or you can follow the instructions in the copying or moving videos to get your zip archive into cloud storage. I am on the main menu. I'm going to open up the file manager by pressing the letter F to move my focus to Key Files.
File Manager, Key Files.
At this point, I'm going to press Enter to open this up, and we will be placed in Key Files, where we will then navigate to where we want to compress our the files we want to compress. So I'm going to press Enter here.
Key Files. Science.
Now remember, we looked at this kind of in the last video when we looked at navigation. If you've watched that, we're going to navigate to drive selection, and we're going to go find the files I want to compress. They live in my downloads folder. So I'm going to press space with D to move up to drive selection.
Drive selection.
Now at this point, I'm just going to press the letter D until I find downloads. You certainly could open storage and then go to downloads, but downloads is pinned right here to this top level. So I'm just going to press the letter D.
Documents.
Here's documents.
Downloads.
Here's downloads. So I press D twice, get to downloads, and press enter, and this is where the files that I want to zip live.
Keysoft underscore.
So I have some different files here. Now these two files that I want to move into three files actually that I want to move into a zip archive are going to be a couple of common command documents and then a document about using Braille displays, really the Brilliant Braille display, the Humanware Brilliant Braille display with JAWS sort of document. So I'm going to press the letter C to come to the common commands file.
CS underscore CEL.org.aph. Common commands for Brilliant with web searching docs. April 9, 2000.
So this file, this is a common commands document for Brilliant with JAWS. And again, this is something, with web searching with JAWS here. And this is something that we see, and it's 18.86 kilobytes. So that will make sense when we start to zip our files, the total size of our zip archive will be way smaller than these three files individually if we were to just try to mark them and attach them. I'm just going to attach two files here. So let's mark, again, when we find a file we want to zip, you could mark an individual file and just zip it. I'm going to mark two files and then zip them. So backspace with L to mark this file, meaning I want to mark multiple files. Maybe you mark multiple files to move them. Maybe you want to copy them or delete them. It's kind of batch file selecting. We're going to press backspace with L to mark this file.
Common commands for Brilliant.
So it's marked, and the word marked will be placed after the file name. Let's press our space bar and let's mark the next file as well.
Common commands with JAWS and Brilliant.
So this one is common commands with JAWS and Brilliant. This is another docx file. I'm going to mark this file also, so backspace with L.
Common commands with JAWS and Brilliant. Docs. Marked.
And we hear that it says marked. And at this point, I have two files that are marked, and I'm going to now compress these files. Again, their total size would be about 38 kilobytes. Of course, these are two very small files, but you can certainly do this with much larger files depending on what it is you have. Now, to compress these marked files, I need to open the More Options menu, and this is a new menu item in Key Files. We saw this when I worked on unzipping documents in that video that I did. We're also going to need to come in there to share. If you use your context menu of space with M, the very last option will say, for more options, press backspace and enter with M. So again, you can come into the context menu and go all the way down there and press enter on that more options item. Or when I'm focused and I've marked these two files, I can press backspace with enter and M to activate that more options menu. Again, it is separate from the context menu. So backspace with enter and M.
Pop-up window. Share.
And we hear it says pop-up window. And the first option here is share. If I choose share, I will then be sharing these two marked files, which is fine. And maybe I want to attach both of them to an email. But let's press our space bar.
Compress.
And we find the option here to compress. In other words, take these two files and compress them or zip them and turn them into a smaller total package size for something that will be easier to move or send or get to where I need it to be. And this is very common when you send large files. I'm going to press enter here on compress.
Key files. Compress. Downloads.
Now, it compressed these files, and what happens is when you compress files, they show up in a folder called archive.zip. So they're in your zip archive, and the folder name that they will be in will be archive.zip. And let's go rename that. We need to be cautious though, because we can't just rename it straight away, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to press A and find archive.zip that I've just created.
Appcast under Keysaw CS underscore appcast underscore appcast under appcast underscore down archive.zip.
So here's
2:44
archive.
p.m. 27.16 kilobits. Zip archive. Archive.zip.
So here's our archive.zip, and we hear that it was created at 2:44 p.m., which is the current time, and it's 27.16 kilobytes. So the total file size of those two files would have been about 38 or 39. We hear that it's been lessened by the zipping process. Again, these are very small files, so there's not really much to zip or compress. But it did compress these two files into a zip archive. Now, you probably don't want to leave this folder called archive.zip because you're going to get pretty confused. If you have multiple folders, multiple zip archives, you'll be like, well, what's in each one? And so if I press backspace with R, I can rename this. However, if I do this right now, nothing happens. I press backspace with R and nothing happens. The reason why nothing happens is I still have my two files marked. My common commands, both of those files are still marked. So I need to perform the unmark all item, because again, I have marked files. So if you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with enter, you will unmark. It's either going to mark all or unmark anything that is currently marked. So let's press full cell with enter to unmark any files that may be marked. And now, again, I'm still focused on my archive.zip. I'm going to press backspace with R.
Alert. Rename. Archive.zip. Cancel. OK. Edit box.
So I'm
archive.zip.
I'm placed in the edit box where I can rename this zip archive. I'm going to call this common commands.
O-N space C-O-M.S.
All right. Common commands would help if I spell the word commands correctly. Don't delete your file extension here. It's very important. You need to leave the .zip in or you're going to run into problems. And this is a common piece of kind of renaming this. The word archive was underlined, meaning if I start typing, it's going to override that. We don't want to delete
2, 5, 6.
the period here in .zip. You need to leave that in. Anytime you're renaming a file, leave the extension alone. Otherwise, the file will become unusable. So I've renamed this common commands. And now I'm going to press enter and it will become a folder called commoncommands.zip. So I'm going to press enter to rename this.
Commands.key files. Downloads.
Let's press the letter C.
Commoncommands.zip. 2:44 p.m. 27.16 kilobits. Zip archive. Archive.zip.
Perfect. And we hear that this is now been renamed and it is no longer going to be archive.zip. It's now called commoncommands.zip. Now, if I want to share this, what I can do when I'm focused on any file or folder that I want to share, I am going to press backspace with the letter M to open that More Options menu. So backspace with Enter and M.
Pop-up window. Share.
I can press Enter here on Share, and you'll notice
Compress.
I have a compress option that won't really do anything because it's already zipped.
Hide internal storage.
You also have an option here of hiding internal storage, which again will take your storage drive away from key files, which you probably don't want to do. You could certainly re-show it here if you needed to. But I'm going to press Enter on Share.
Share. Share via Teams.
Now it's going to load various suggestions, and usually it's going to bring up recent people. So you'll see my Teams
share via
pieces here, and Roger, who is our Low Vision product manager, is a possible choice. I want to use Keymail to share this zip archive, so I'm going to press the letter K once this share pop-up comes in. It's saying, what application do you want to use to share this file? Let's press K for key files.
Keymail.
I'm sorry, for Keymail. And I hear Keymail, and I'm going to press Enter.
To edit box, compose.
Now we're going to send this to our friend Andrew Flatris. So I'm in the to field, and we all know I can type in the first few letters of whom I want to send this to. So let's type in Andrew.
A-N-D-R-E-W.
All right, so I type in Andrew, and it would help again if I spell it correctly.
End of field.
I type in the word Andrew, and I press backspace with space and E to pull up email suggestions.
Keymail. Andrew Wilson.
Here's our suggestions list. I'm going to press space.
Andrew Flitters. Andrew.Flitters.
Here's Andrew's email. I'm going to press enter.
To edit box. Andrew Flitters.
And it puts it into the to field. And I'm going to press enter and go to our subject field.
Subject edit box.
Test.
.t.3 4.
I'm going to press enter.
Compose email edit box.
And now here's the compose edit box. I'm going to write this
Dots,
is
dots,
a
one,
test.
Dots 2, 5
Right?
test.
Now, if I press my next thumb key and leave this edit box, you will see that the attachment on this email is
common commands.zip 26 kilobits.
that is my attachment.
Remove attachment common commands.zip button.
And then if you press your next thumb key again, you do have a remove attachment button. So again, if I just press backspace with S, we will send this email with this zipped folder attached.
Sending message. Key files.
And then I'm back in key files.
Common commands.
So again, to kind of recap what we did, we marked the files we wanted to compress with backspace and L. Once we had our files marked, we came into the More Options menu. That is a new menu in key files by pressing Enter with backspace and M simultaneously. M is in menu. We chose Compress, and it then compressed any of our marked files into a folder called archive.zip. We located that folder and we wanted to rename it, but first we had to unmark the previously marked files. So the command to unmark anything that is marked is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with enter. That is also the mark all command. But if anything is marked, it will unmark what you currently have marked. Once we unmarked all of our files, we pressed backspace with R. We renamed the folder to common commands and we left our .zip alone. And at that point, we were able to share the folder by accessing the More Options menu. So enter with backspace and M, choosing share, and then we chose Keymail and shared it the same way we always have. So again, you can now zip files in addition to unzipping files, which I covered in a previous snapshot tutorial video. Hope this was helpful. We certainly will be bringing you more of these, and we look forward to cranking out Keysoft updates as we move forward. And when we do, you certainly know I will be making videos, and Andrew and all of us here at HumanWare will be doing webinars and creating these types of videos to quickly walk you through these new features. Thanks, everybody.